is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
There comes a time when the game tolerates no spectators, only players. There comes a time when we must recognize that our individual aspirations shape our collective destiny. There comes a time when getting in the game, despite the risks, despite the challenges, regardless of the cost, is simply the right thing to do. There comes a time when we must find our hearts, find our soul, and pursue our purpose for the greater good of all, for country, for humanity. There comes a time when we must manifest our true greatness. Yes, there comes a time, and that time is now. So let's get down to the essentials. The essentials. Serious radio for serious people committed to advancing the national conversation.
You know it's so essential, so serious. Time for the essentials.
And good evening and welcome to the Essentials. I am Hubert Edwards, and it's certainly a pleasure to be here with you this evening. We're going to have ourselves a casual conversation, so to speak. I sat in earlier this week for Nahaja Black. I also sat in for Shavagaleng, and so as a result of that, we kind of did some heavy lifting during the course of the week from a radio perspective. So today, or this evening on this show, my show, I wanted us, kind of take it light, take it down a bit, and certainly call for you to join us. What is it that you want to talk about? We want to talk a little bit about our Success Summit, which starts tomorrow. Can't believe it is actually 1 year, and we've been planning this for the longest while, and as these things go, even at the last minute, you still have things to do. We'll be working way up into the night tonight to make sure that everything is set. But today we were down at BFM. We're looking good. We have our technical people, or technical support from BFM, who's providing us with the undergirding to put on a good show. And we see persons are registering. We have confirmation coming out of Jamaica that there are a number of schools which are registering. So many students will be in front of an individual screen, or those screens will be shared by the guidance counselor. So, it's been a journey, and here we are, and we just have to keep going, and we have to look at, what's happening out there. I see something in the newspaper which is popping up, and these discussions around impropriety, which have been levied in the House of Assembly. And, if you want to talk about them, I won't be averse to having such a conversation. Not going to raise too much into it. But the thing which jumps out at me as an accountant, as a professional accountant, and an individual who spent a significant amount of time in the past as an external auditor, and in some instance have the ability to do internal work. And I spend most of what I do and my thinking, a lot of my thinking is around risk management. When you listen to these words, and I don't know if they're direct quotes or not, but the Tribune today says, the government's top financial watchdog has renewed, and renewed is an important word there, renewed complaints that some civil servants are breaking the law by obstructing his office's effort to uncover misuse of taxpayers' money. And he goes on to warn that his staff work continues to be impeded by individuals in several ministries and departments. And he goes on to say that these barriers are also helping some public officials evade accountability for waste and mismanagement of increasingly scarce Bahamian taxpayers' funds. That's what the Auditor General writes. When you when you listen to the rhetoric or the discussions or the debates which are happening around town, you now have to start to ask yourself the question, where exactly are we? Where exactly are we as a country? Where exactly are we as a people, as a civil service, as a group of professionals who are supposed to be delivering service or delivering, plying our trade, plying our profession within the context of a meritocracy? When we hear things like these, it's time to be very scared. Believe me, it's time to be very scared. Usually, a professional accountant, a professional auditor does not write things which are trivial because he knows that at some point in time, someone will go back and take a look or might go back. And just the possibility of them going back, levies a significant weight on reputation and credibility. So these things aren't written lightly. We have to take them very seriously because the country is at risk. And how is it that we are going to move this state of affairs forward? How are we going to do that? How are we going to be in a place where we don't hear news like this? But there's this debate which is brewing, and persons are parsing stuff one way or the other. Should we have spent more? Did the budget increase? And all of that sort of stuff, right? I think at a very fundamental level, all of us in the Bahamas, politicians, leaders, civil servants, regular guy, Jones, any individual, we need to understand that the world is watching and the world is drawing conclusions. And the extent to which the world watches and the conclusion that the world draws have direct implications for our well-being or how they will treat us going forward. It also is indicative of how we are treating the resources that we have as a country. So if you want to join me on joining the conversation, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, or the text line is 422-4796. But I want to run something by you. There's a book which was written a while back, and the title was Who Moved My Cheese? I think Shivagaleng did a play off that, and he asks, who moved my conch? And the book really was about, upliftment. Something moves, something is not there, it's not the same. But I'm going to ask a question slightly different tonight, but connected in such a way. Who moved my cheddar? And I'm using the word cheddar to play on money. It's a slang which is used to refer to money. So who moved my cheddar? So let me throw a scenario at you. You have a block of cheese, and that cheese is sitting securely, safely, for the most part, in your pantry. And you develop some concerns, and you start to talk about it because it's obvious that something is not right. Because you have the cheese there, and the cheese is for your sustenance. The cheese is to eat with your bread or your bun or to do whatsoever you want to do with it. And then you come into the awareness that there are some rustling in your house, in and around your pantry. And so you say, wow, okay, this seemed to suggest that there is a mouse or there are mice in the house. And clearly, mice do what mice does. Mice do what mice do. Proper English. They will seek out the cheese and they will go to work at it. One of the very popular saying in the Bahamas is, and I think this was popularized maybe by the Honorable Hubert Alexander Ingram, about ants in the cookie jar. So it's very popular to say, someone is taking something out. If you're doing something wrong, if I catch you with your hand in the cookie jar, stuff will happen. So in that same vein, something is happening with the cheese. And so we discovered that there's some rustling around and there's some mice, or maybe just one mouse or a big rat, whatsoever it is. But something is fooling with the cheese. And you keep a watch, you make sure you try to make it as safe as possible. Then you go and you notice that there's some gnawing. You see the scratch mark, you see the teeth mark of the rat on the cheese. Obviously, you don't want to eat that no more if it's real cheese, right? So, but for this purpose, it's your cheese, it's your cheddar. And you notice that there's been some gnawing at it. And you get very, very passionate. And you become very focused on the cheese and the bite marks, which keep taking out little bits and pieces of it. And you now become, Rambo. You become a commando because you are going to catch this rat or these mice because they are stealing your cheese on an ongoing basis. And you got to take them. Every time you go back there, there's this little beanie piece of cheese which has disappeared. And so now you come very obsessed with the idea of catching this mice or the mouse or the rat, whichever it is. And as a result of your obsession, you fail to realize that on the other side of the cheese, the same place where you cut it, there is consistent cuts taking place. But here is where you get tripped up in this whole process. There ought to be no bite marks. And so you're looking for that anomaly. You're zeroing in on that anomaly. It's normal for you to cut the cheese with a knife. So even when there are different type of patterns or marks or marking as a result of the use of a knife, you don't pay a lot of attention to that. You pay attention to the bite marks. And consequently, after a while, you realize that the cheese, your cheddar, has diminished. And it's diminishing in larger portions than the bite marks could possibly create. Why am I saying this? I believe as it relates to governance and government, it's not so much the individuals who we kind of shine the light on and say, your hands were caught in the cookie jar or somebody stealing some money here or there, which is the largest problem we have. It may very well be things which are happening in the normal process as a result of bad decisions, inadequate decisions, untimely decisions, improperly planned projects and initiatives, things which have expended monies through the normal, the correct, the right way with all of the I's dotted and all of the T's crossed, every single thing according to the book, but ultimately there's wastage. And I do not make the argument that the gnawings on the cheese should not be eradicated. It must be. I'm proposing that it is, though it might get the highest highlight, it is but yet a small portion of the problem. That's my supposition. And if I am wrong, then we have a significantly bigger problem. So as we see these headlines in the newspaper coming from the Auditor General, we really have to pause and start to ask ourselves, where exactly are we going with this? It cannot be that scrutiny, which is built into the system as a result of the Auditor General's position and the office, is being impeded. It can't be. That scrutiny is necessary for us to run an effective democratic government. It cannot be that civil servants will escape having done something illegal because there are persons who impede the work of the Auditor General. And it must be accepted, as this sentence says, warns, deep state can derail new finance system. It's important that these headlines are not taken lightly. Because within a system which is designed for ensuring accountability and transparency and accuracy, if that system is being undermined in that it's not allowed to carry out its function to the umpteenth level, then we're in trouble. The system is in trouble because the check and balance which is built into the system itself is in trouble. But what is more important, well, not more important, but one of the important aspects of this is that based on the position, given constitutional protection and undergirded by legislation, to create any type of impediment against the work of the Auditor General is illegal. And therefore, if persons will put themselves at the risk of going through and undertaking an illegal activity to potentially protect another illegal activity or simply something which is out of square with the four corners of the rules and the regulations, then that becomes significantly serious. And at no level can that be tolerated. It can be. What is important to understand is that as we speak, the country is at a very perilous place financially. The integrity of its financial system, the integrity of its reporting system, the trustworthiness of the work of the Auditor General holds great importance to the way we are viewed externally, to the way rating agencies sees us. It may not be a big significant matter now, and we may not know, but never underplay, never underestimate the fact that this type of a news out there in the world is being looked at by the Moody's of the world, the S&Ps, the credit rating agencies. And why is this important? Because ultimately, there are two sides to a potentially emerging equation in this. And I'm not proposing that this is new or recent. It just is what it is because he says he's complaining again. And this person has been in this position for quite a while, reasonable time now. And so the two aspects of this equation, emerging equation, is this. On one hand, he's providing a level of oversight over a reporting system which generates and terminates into the financial position of the country. And to the extent where that there may be obstacles and impediments, it might lead one to point to or question the integrity and the accuracy of the output of such a system. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is if what he says holds, and there are resources of the country, resources of taxpayers, which may be lost as a result of the impediment and cannot be recovered, then obviously the financial state of the country then worsens. And we are in a bit of a pickle. So I don't believe that there is any good news embedded in this. It may not be something which everyone is going to be jumping up and screaming because it may not carry the same emotional connection for many as some other news element. But this is so absolutely important, is so absolutely dangerous for the state of affairs of the country that we must give it the necessary prominence that it deserves. And to the extent that this happens, and I'm not saying that it don't, but I can't prove it. I'm just taking the man's word for it. I trust his integrity. The extent that this happened, it must be eradicated. If it's continuing, it must be eradicated. If it just started, it must be eradicated. You cannot have a system with this type of a hole in it. It can't be. It's untenable. And it becomes that much more serious given where we are in this moment. And usually is in the lean times when these things spring to the fore. And we are going through potentially some lean times right now. And so whosoever is in charge, whosoever has the ability to make the changes, to do the shifts, that must be done. And while I understand, and I wouldn't expect for there to be a spilling of those persons who are involved in the newspaper or in a report which is going to be made public in certain regard, I think we are at a place and at a time where cover should not be given to individuals who will undermine the government system. It cannot be tolerated. It should not be tolerated. We have to start to think about how we think about these issues of corruption and transparency and integrity and accountability. There are no small aspects thereof. The extent may change, but if the system is usurped, if the system is undermined, even by a small thread, you have a nice fancy coat, a very expensive one, and a thread is pulled from it, the entire coat is compromised. You may not even want to wear it. If you're one of those fashionista type person, that's the end of that. So how do we protect our systems in the same manner? How do we argue for great openness? Great openness. I am one of those persons who believe that individuals who are entrusted with responsibilities, like in a government official, when they do things which are outside of the law, they should be punished extra. An individual who steals $500 from me should go to jail. Don't charge him. Take back my money from him, give it back to me, and send him to jail. A public official who steals $500 as a result of employment or as a result of some official process, on the same day, at the same time, in court facing the same judge, should get a more significant penalty than that other guy. That's my belief. Should go in together and should leave a long, long time thereafter. Because in many instances, they go into these things with their eyes wide open, knowing exactly what has been done. No excuse for the other guy, for the pickpocket or the highwayman or the thief. I'm not making any excuses. But I'm saying when a public official breaches or a civil servant breaches the duty of care that they're expected to deliver consistently, they should be treated harshly. And it's not simply because I'm going to treat you harsh for the sake of treating you harsh. It's going to be harsh because that type of a treatment will be part and parcel of the formula for creating a culture and enforcing a culture of accountability, of transparency, of accountability, of integrity. We would wish for you to display great ethics. We would wish for you to do the right thing, to be honest. But if you are unable to do so, to be so, then we have no issue. We have no issue at all enforcing it and sending a signal and using you as an example of what should not be done and what happens when such a thing is done. It can be in the Bahamas with aspirations to be a first world or a greater developed country, to be a big player on the international scene, that the Auditor General will be making statements as civil servants are blocking me from doing my job. Not in this side of the world. It ought not to happen. It shouldn't happen. And certainly kudos go out to the Auditor General for sticking to his gun and writing that these things, I'm sure, are never ever easy, though he have the protection of his office, protection of law, protection of the Constitution. It's still never easy to do this. But we have to start to admonish ourselves and start to understand that it's not just the gnaws and the little beanie bites on the cheese which is creating a problem, but it's also that which is being lost through the normal system. The amounts which have been requested, requisitioned and approved, the amounts which are consistent with budgets, the amounts which, no matter how you turn it over, have been approved to the highest level. But when you look at the decision, when you look at what they've been thrown at, when you look at the project and the fact that the project wasn't properly managed, when you look at all that surrounded, at the end of the day, it's still tantamount to a waste of resource. We have to figure out a way of maximizing the utility of taxpayers' money. Because if that doesn't happen, sooner or later, there's going to be a need for increases. There is already a pressure. There's already an existing pressure for more revenue. So imagine you burning the candles at both ends. It's going to get to the middle that much faster. As a matter of fact, the candle is going to be expended by the time the flame reaches the middle because you're going two ends at the same time. These are serious things. These are serious, very, very serious issues which strike at the heart of democracy. It strikes at the heart of governance. It strikes deeply at the heart of public sector financial integrity. It strikes a blow against reforms, makes an argument for deeper reforms, more stringent reforms which have embedded in them punishment, discouragement from doing certain things which result in a loss for the country, loss of government resources. We, as a country, must get to that place where there must be a massive outcry when these things happen. Because oftentimes it's not the big, emotional, rambunctious type of a happening which usually grabs our attention because it's nice in the moment. Those are not the things which kind of wipe us out in the long run. Because in most instances, it's recoverable. Blow up today, calm down tomorrow, levels out again. Not much except that you remember the instance. But happenings like these, which generates a headline which says, Government Financial Watchdog slams officials' obstruction. It's things like these which are silent killers. They undermine the foundation of the country, the financial foundation of the country. They undermine the integrity of governance. They undermine the integrity of ministers. They reflect badly on individuals who are good people and do their best not to be bad. And so to the extent that there are apples in the barrel which are not good and are likely to impact those which are, they have to be removed. He make no apologies for that. The bad apples must be removed. And they must be removed clinically, delicately, swiftly, unequivocally, and without any form of regret or restraint. Otherwise, there will be a price to pay. Otherwise, the country and ultimately the taxpayers will foot the bill for their behavior. Because even if at the end of the day, a investigation would prove that there was nothing, there was enough there to stir up a suspicion, but ultimately there is nothing, that impediment, spoken of in the public realm like it is now, has implications for how people see the government's financial system. The way people see the operation of the civil service. And it therefore can be good. I'm sure, 100% sure, that there are hundreds and thousands of civil servants who go to work every single day and do the absolute right thing every single time, maybe even sometime under great pressure to be otherwise. They do the right thing. So it cannot be fair to them that some individuals would behave in a way which brings disrepute to the arena in which they ply their trade. It can't happen. It shouldn't happen. We mustn't allow it to happen. So I'm sure that the powers that be haven't seen this report. I understand the report is maybe not yet publicly known. I'm not sure how it got to the newspaper. Maybe something was said. But I'm sure that those persons who are in the position to effect some change and to start to create a shift are doing so as we speak, because failing to do so will definitely be detrimental. Because guess what? Ultimately, these things have a way of burying themselves on you, even if you are not responsible, as long as you did nothing to change them. And so we just want to admonish everyone out there, certainly the public first. When you see things like this, send out your support. Make your cries. Say, we see this as much as we see the other thing, which may be a little bit more salacious and a little bit more emotive. We see this. That's important. That's part of your citizen advocacy or your citizen support. And then to those who can and have the power to make the change, then certainly it is for you to do so. And the expectation is that that will be done with great alacrity, such that we never ever see repeats of these things, because there are some people out there listening, they're watching and they're taking notes. And notes on matters of this nature doesn't in any way, shape, or form help our circumstances. We're going to take a break here, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation Want you to join me? Call me 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Is there a thing that you want to talk about? Join us. You listen to The Essentials. Come right back.
You know it's so essential, so serious. Time for the essential.
Do you know you can get your business cards designed and printed for as low as 18 cents a card? If it's a poster you want, you can pay as little as $6 a square foot. If your print needs are short or long run, digital printing, wide format, or print consultation, call the best. Call Print Masters. Print Masters' goal is to provide its clients with the highest level of personal, professional service at an affordable price. Our state-of-the-art technology also makes working together efficient and easy. Laminations, business cards, flyers, posters, window and floor decals are just a few of the digitized print services offered at Print Masters. Call 302-2361, 302-2361, or visit us at the Nassau Guardian Building in Oaksfield. Print with the best. Print with Print Masters.
Hubert Edwards Global, in collaboration with Dr. Dave Burrows and iRise, presents the 5th Annual Success Summit under the theme Success Keys to Transform Your World, December 3rd through 4th. 2 days of transformational experiences with dynamic presenters from the Bahamas, Nigeria, Canada, USA, and Jamaica. You can't afford to miss this mind shift moment. 5 scholarship grants, 2 leadership awards, 1 life-changing event. This is a virtual event, so visit www.nlsolutionsbahamas.com for more details. This is what you've been waiting for. Success Summit 2021.
COVID-19 doesn't take holidays off, and neither should you. We can celebrate the holiday season while continuing to follow all public health protocols and regulations. We must also remember to wash our hands and sanitize frequently. Wear our masks, cough and sneeze into our elbows, disinfect items brought into our homes, stay at least 3 feet away from others in public, and remain at home when we're feeling unwell. Let's have a happy and healthy holiday.
This message brought to you by Bahamas Ministry of Health in conjunction with Guardian Radio.
You know it's so essential, so serious. Time for the essential.
And welcome back to The Essentials, the reset. It's a easy evening. We're not going too deeply today. Not getting into much. I'm still waiting for your call. If you don't call in, then I can't leave. I'll have to stay here all evening because I need at least one call to release me. But we talked about the Auditor General's report, and so, that's as much as we wanted to say on that. I think it's an important issue. So, in line with the fact that we have on the summit today, you just heard the advert. The summit is going to be tomorrow, the first day of the summit, day 1, which is Youth Day. We will be beaming into schools. We'll be beaming into schools here in the Bahamas. I can't 100% confirm that, but we have sent out the invitations to a number of principals and teachers. The president of the BUT, Miss Belinda Wilson, was very, very instrumental in helping us in that regard. We also had some support from the Deputy Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education in alerting certain officials to what we were doing. As a matter of fact, we just want to pause to say thank you to the Deputy Permanent Secretary and our other trustee. He sits as a trustee of Hubert Edwards Global and really bring great prestige and a sense of order. They provide a place where individual like me who do the groundwork and some of the heavy lifting can go to and say, this is where we are, this is what's happening, this is what's not happening. Sometimes, if only to, unload some things and to make sure that somebody else is aware of some of the struggles, but certainly we are fully aware that where there is a need for guidance, that guidance will come. So our trustees are Mr. Ricardo DeVoe, Miss Joan Albury, Miss Pastor Mario Moxie, Felix Bethel, and Dr. Dave Burrows. I'm sure I got all of them in. And so, we're chugging along. We're trying to move this organization to a level where we can have wider and deeper impact on the Bahamian community in the first instance. This is where this was birthed, significant influence from Dr. Miles Monroe and many other persons here in the country, but certainly there is a very clear vision which we don't kind of make any excuses about. There's a clear vision for moving into the wider Caribbean and, to have some impact, wider afield. So the question I want to raise here today is, let's talk about the power of purpose. Let's talk a little bit about the power of purpose. So what is your purpose? And what is purpose? Do you have a reason? Do you believe you have a reason to be here? A lot of persons would say, you must find your purpose. I am a proponent of the idea that my purpose is not hiding any place, waiting for me to find it. Otherwise, my life could become a search for a purpose, and then at the end of that, having found the purpose, then what? Now, as you move through in the process of finding the purpose, obviously there's some work attached to it. But I believe you choose purposes. You choose things which excite you. You choose things which you become aware that you're passionate about. You choose things which you're passionate, whether it is something which brings you joy or it's something which brings you pain and anger. Like, if you see people on the streets and you get angry when you see a man eating from the garbage can, that may lead you to your purpose of feeding people, of finding ways of caring for the homeless. So we find purpose in many, many different ways. And I really believe that we should make a decision, choose something. I don't think there is a purpose, one single purpose for any human being over the full extent of his or her life. So on average, if you live to 70, if you're a biblical scholar, you're promised 70, so that's 70. But if you go by the statistics, the medical and national statistics, you expect to be somewhere around 74, 78, that sort of thing, depending, it varies based on male or female. So over that period of time, you could find yourself pursuing many, many different things, and each of those are your purpose. It's what you want to do. It's what you want to engage in and to make a difference. So there must be a reason that we're all here on this earth, in this universe. I believe every single one of us have been endowed with talents in different ways. Like, everybody can swim. Every single soul can swim, I think. Some will just go in the water and go straight down, while others will go for miles. The difference that we're discussing is extent. Everybody can sing. Some people will sing well, and some people sing very badly. Some people, you just don't want them to even think about singing. And some others, you will listen to them sing for eternity. So it's a question of finding something that you do well, that you enjoy, that brings value to others, because that kind of reinforce it and give validation to what you're doing when you bring in value to other persons. So if we can find that, then yeah, find that purpose. And you must keep telling yourself that I am here for a reason. And that reason must be, yes, a reason for yourself. But in addition to yourself, you are here for more than just yourself. Believe me. Every single individual is here with something to contribute, and that something is for others. Because remember, we grow by sharing our talents, by sharing our gifts with others, and persons reward us for that. We go to work and we get paid. If you're a good singer, you sing, you use your talent, and you get paid. You're rewarded by sharing your talents and providing value for others. So what is it about in life as we think about Success Summit? If you're coming to Success Summit tomorrow and Saturday, what would be one of the main reasons that you want to turn up? Are you turning up for self-development? Are you turning up because you want to be a better leader of yourself, a better leader of persons, or want to get some insight from the individuals who will be presenting as to, how they achieve what they achieve, or at least to gain some perspective? Because some of the times, right, we can talk about a lot of things. I can tell you about things which I have never experienced personally. But experience in other areas gives you perspective and an understanding of how to explain it. And sometimes, I can explain some things that I can't do. That in and of itself, though, is a gift, a value, which I would have developed because I spent time reading, I spent time studying, and I am, a very curious person when it comes to certain things. And so I can speak to some stuff. The question is, does that bring value to anyone? And if it does, then regardless of the fact that I may still have to rely on someone to help me through some of these things, it's a purpose that I can pursue. But of course, you want to pursue things which take you, which you can manage at a level of high competency, to the level of mastery. And that makes you that much more effective. It gives you that much more credibility in delivering that. So if I come and say, well, I'm going to teach you to ride a bike, you may ask, can you ride a bike? And I will say to you, no. And then all of a sudden, you don't really want to teach me anymore. You don't want me to teach you. The truth of the matter is, even though I can't, I may be able to teach you more effectively than someone who can. But the human being how the human being thinks, credibility matters. So when you are pursuing a thing, when you're passionate about a thing, it does help if you have developed a certain level of competency in this particular matter. Are you coming to the summit for networking? It's a good place to network. Even if you're on Zoom, you'll be in there and you'll see the faces of many individuals, and you may be able to reach out to someone, put someone in the chat, have a private chat with some individual. There has to be a reason for doing what you're doing. Set yourself a goal. Set yourself a target that over these next 2 days, I'm going to participate and I'm going to walk away with at least 3 tools, with at least 3 strategies, with at least 3 ideas, or 1 maybe, which I am going to work hard in taking into 2022. Maybe up to now, your life has been challenging. It's been different. You have tried many things. This morning, we were on Morning Blend with Dwight Strawn. And Carlos Palacios outlined something which I think is very, very important for persons to understand. This whole idea of success and growth can be very complex. It can also be very debilitating for many individuals. When you look at, and I'm just going to pull somebody out of the act because they're popular and well-known. When you look at, say, someone like a Franklin Wilson or a Brent Simonet or individual like Anthony Ferguson, and you say these individuals are successful, and you look at all that they have achieved, and you start to ask yourself, how did they do that? And based on where you are at the time you are, and based on the things that you desire to achieve, which is may very well be all the things you see them have, and with the level of experience and exposure and awareness you have, it becomes very, very complicated. It adds anxiety to your life, potentially. Well, I think definitely. It does that. Why? Because you do not understand how it was done. And he laid out very simply this morning that it is understanding that you have to take it one step at a time. You have to take baby steps. You can go fast, you can do multiple steps, but you have to unfold it, you have to unpack it. It doesn't just happen overnight. I believe that for every human being to operate at their highest self, at a high level of humanity, such a human being needs a purpose which is bigger than themselves. It's good to be working for the big house. It's good to be working for the big car. It's good to be working to be rich. Everybody should be rich. I want to be rich. You want to have lots of money. We all want to have lots of money. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Some people say, no, we don't want money. We don't love money. But, that's kind of foolhardy because money solves a lot of the world problems. It will solve a lot of your problems too. Give you more time to go make up noise that, you don't want to be rich. But you need to have a purpose, I believe, something which is bigger than you. You need to be living your life in such a way that you're touching other persons. I go back to the interview this morning and I cite again Carlos Palacios when he said that his company does internship, take on about 12 persons per year. Now, is that something which benefits his company? Most definitely, from multiple perspectives. When you intern individuals, you're creating and broadening your own sphere of operation. You're thinking about the future and you're creating a reliable path for individuals to come into your profession. You may need them down the road. Is anyone looking at the company think that this is a good thing? Yes, so it reflects good corporate social responsibility. So that's a good thing. But at the end of the day, at a fundamental level, these persons may intern and they may never come back to the company, they may never come back to the country, but an individual is being helped to get awareness, to get experience, to get advice, to be around individuals who can mentor them. And as a result of that, they become better individuals. That is a cause outside of self. So while you're pursuing this cause outside of self, don't believe it has to be totally separated for what you do for you. In the process of earning your money, in the process of growing your wealth, in the process of succeeding at whatsoever it is that you want to succeed, you can attach to that the ability to help somebody, the ability to serve the community, the ability to be a kind of type of a corporate entity, a kind of individual, to help the individuals on the street. Whatsoever that is, find that cause which is bigger than you, which is outside of you, and which ultimately may not bring you dollars and cents, but is going to bring you great fulfillment, which dollars and cents don't have the ability to do, because that operates at a higher level of self. It's almost a spiritual impact, I believe. So find that purpose, that bigger purpose, and attach yourself to it. I honestly believe that everyone should have a desire to change something. In fact, the first great desire to change anything should be the desire to change you. And some person may say, well, I don't need to change, and that's not true. That is absolutely not going to be true. If you're a human being, in today, 2021, there is always some aspects of you which requires changing. You may be the perfect woman, the perfect man, the perfect person. And if nothing about you change, then everybody will like you and you will be good. But internally, you may have desires which other persons don't readily see. And you recognize that in order to achieve those desires, you will have to change something about you. You'll have to stretch yourself. You'll have to grow some more. You have to go back to school. You have to invest. You have to take some risk. There is something about you which always needs to change in order to facilitate your own growth and your own advancement. And so there always should be a desire and an openness to change and to change you and to grow. But of course, when we talk about living bigger than you, then something that you need to change. For me, I want to see persons have an opportunity to be educated, to exercise the right of accreting to themselves educational opportunities. I want to see individuals who are thinkers, individuals who do not drink at the trough of what is said and who said what, but have the ability to analyze and think about it, and think about it in a deep, critical, and curious way, such that at the end of the day, when everything is distilled and you take the essence out of that, right, it becomes you. It reflects you. And that whole process, through that whole process, you're growing and becoming a better person. We definitely, and I think definitely, and this is part and parcel of what we want to do through the Success Summit. We want to leave this world a better place. We want to leave the space that we are in a better place. One more student doing better. One more individual having greater awareness. One more individual saying, well, if Edwards and them can come together and do Success Summit, why can't I do something too? We have to do that little much. We have to find a way of changing things. And fundamentally, and this sits at the heart of our effort with Success Summit, and pretty much everything that I try to do is, our job is to make others better. If we make others better, if we in somehow, some way can make another person better, then automatically our existence is better. Because I say this very often, you may have heard me say it before, we are but part and parcel of a single, indivisible whole. You are a part of me as much as I am a part of you. I may have never met you, we may have never touched, and you believe that you can live your life and never feel anything from me, any pressures from me, any friction or any tension based on what I do or not do. But the truth is, unbeknownst to you, I may impact an individual who impacts somebody else, who have a beneficial impact on you. The reason you cannot understand and appreciate it is because we operate within, as the economist says, with bounded rationality. There is a limitation to our knowledge, our sphere of understanding. We are not omnipotent. We don't know everything. But we must live in an awareness which says that just in case the good I do will widen like concentric circles when you throw a stone in a still pond and you see those waves expanding out. That's how the good we do, or the bad, that's how the action we take, the things we do, affect others. It spreads, it widens. It's an exponential move outwards. And that's why we are compelled to do good things. So when we think about it, we want to make others better. And if you're in the business of making others better, then the persons immediately attached to you, those who are right there with you, you're clearly not going to be doing bad things to them. You're going to be doing things which are empowering and uplifting and enlightening, create enlightenment. And if you do that, and they repeat the same. And so you impact one person. The other one person impact two impact four. And so exponentially, you can impact millions because it started with you and it goes all the way into eternity. So we want to accrue unto ourselves a purpose. We want to find important reasons for being, for doing, whether it's going to work, whether it's at sports, whether it's getting into personal development in the self-education field, whatsoever it is, find the reasons. We want to find a purpose which is bigger than ourselves, a purpose which touches others, a purpose which can be beyond your family, beyond your community. And it's fine if it goes to those levels. If that's where you want to be, if you're impacting your daughter, your son, you're the persons within your immediate household, then that's fine. You expect it to, but if it stops there, then that's fine because they too will become disciples of you, wittingly or unwittingly. But if you want to take it to another level, to go out into the community, to go out into your parish, into your country, then certainly it's a good way to go. But always think about not just doing it for your own self. Can't be selfish. Can't be uber selfish. Some level of selfishness must reign, otherwise you're not going to take care of yourself. But you understand what I'm saying. And you want to leave wheresoever you are, wheresoever you touch, a better place and make the people around you better. So when we talk about purpose, a purpose is a person's sense of resolve or determination. What is it that you are determined to do? What is it that you're determined to achieve? What type of a change are you determined to effect? What type of a resolve you have? What have you resolved to do? Which must be done, which becomes a part of you, which becomes a part of the essence of you, which is so internalized that it becomes you. We see persons all the time who are working in areas such as AIDS, HIV, which some people wouldn't want to do. We see persons laboring with the needy, with the poor. We see persons laboring in medical areas. And we say, boy, those persons are the light of the world and we are impressed by what they're doing. They have a resolve to make the world a better place in that area because they're passionate about it. So my approach would be, you have to discover your purpose. Choose a purpose. They say discover your purpose. Just latch on something. This discovery for me isn't running up and down night and day looking for something, but figure out what it is which gives you passion, which brings you joy, which brings you anger, which moves your emotion, which creates that pharmacy of chemicals inside of your body to behave differently when sending you whether up or down on a scale of happiness to sadness. So find that, discover that. And then align your thoughts and actions to your purpose. So you have to first find it within your soul. Find it, decide it, and steep it deep within your soul. And then align it with your actions. So I am concerned about individuals and their educational advancement, using myself as an example in this instance. I want to see people do good. I figure that this is an era in which matters to me. So what do? We have to start something. We have to get a scholarship going. We have to figure out a way to get some monies to some people. It may not be enough for what they need, but it could serve as a great encouragement in that regard. So in the last 2 years, we would have given 3 scholarships each year. I think the first year we had 3 or 4 application. The second year, I think we were at 5 or 6. This year, we were at 30 plus. And just today, someone called to say, I sent it in on the 31st. I said, I never saw it, only to find that it went to spam. We have a call on the line. Caller, go ahead.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Edwards.
Good evening, 52. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, working hard, man, from 8 o'clock.
Yeah, man, that's how it should be.
It's working hard. Listen,
Yeah.
it's something that you touch on as far as the life's purpose, right? And so it reminded me of, firstly, I'd just like to say your story about Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
I went to school over there for just about a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
On an exchange program, and I remember coming through, I was in the Maypen. Maypen was a rural country town in those times, which was 1980.
Yeah.
And, we used to go and party, and I used to be with the head boy, and we used to cut through the farms, to get home, and shortcuts and all that. So it kind of it's a beautiful place. And I enjoyed over there, but I just wanted to touch on some of the things that you were commenting on. Firstly, I had mentioned from the last defeat of the PLP and the up-runnings to the elections, I've noticed that there seems to be a trend where the public's money is spent, where they tend to boondoggle the public funds, right, in the run-up to elections. So I was thinking maybe the people could get together and there needs to be a moratorium on spending before the elections, because this seems to be a trend where the government just go crazy with the people's money. This is just what I've noticed. I'm 57, so this is what it is. I don't know if that's that's something to me that should be done, because it's too much plausible deniability involved, and et cetera, et cetera. I don't really like to talk the politics too much.
Yeah.
But an interesting thing was the life's purpose, right? And then I'll ask a question when I hang up. Life's purpose. And so the Success Summit that you're talking about, I was there to a business. They had a small business seminar for small business people. And you meet people, met young entrepreneurs and stuff like that, and you exchange ideas. So I think it will be great. But let me draw back to the purpose of life. You have to find your purpose. And I agree with just about everything you were saying. But it reminded me of George Bernard Shaw, a playwright, a pacifist, but he was a eugenicist. And I remember something very contentious that he said in something that I read. And what he believed in through his eugenics ideals was, if he was in charge, he would have passed a law where governments respectively throughout the globe will mandate each citizen to come before a panel, and then they would be asked the question to state the nature of their existence or the reason for their existence. And he said this out of his own mouth. And if they didn't have a good reason for their existence or meaningful existence, they would just be put to death. And this is what this ideal was. And so what happens is now, the ideas of eugenics, most people don't understand, is things that have to be done insidiously. I just had an argument with a friend, and he's not even on my level as far as consciousness as to the global agendas and stuff, because, people still calling my name on the radio even though I'm not even calling, right? And they're very wrong about me. And they have this misconception, I've called myself a sheep, likewise. I've called myself a dummy. And so, of course I'm not a scientist. If I said I drop out of college, how can I be a scientist? But I don't have to be a scientist to know the science, because I did science in college, right?
True.
But the thing is, we as black people, we have a problem with one another, and that's our greatest problem. It's not, you could look at it even with the revolutionary movements going on throughout the world now, right? And I'm afraid that we so busy fighting now one another. If the sky was falling, even people were still saying the Haitians coming on, the Haitians this or the Jamaicans this or. And this is our lack of knowledge, because we're not really aware of other external realities and the psychological mechanisms put in place. The media, the telephones, just all of the mechanisms that they have in place to drive our thoughts, wittingly or unwittingly. Most of us can't even fathom what's coming at us, and so we find other ways to sit pathetically by and just contradict, and even if it's the truth, just to have something to say about someone without even analyzing what they're saying. So this will be humanity's downfall. Humanity is under attack on a global scale, and we are fighting one another. So my question to you, right, Mr. Edwards, how does freedom die, or how does liberty die? I'll just hang up and listen.
How does freedom die and how does liberty die? I don't think they died, but they can be killed. Maybe not ultimately, but freedom can be repressed and liberty can be repressed. And typically that happens when there is a ideology which is anti-liberty or anti-freedom, and that ideology is allowed to fester. It attracts popular support, or if not attracting popular support, it at least repels popular repression or popular resistance, and consequently it's allowed to flourish. I think a great example of that would be the Nazi movement and the Third Reich, wherein I don't believe that popularly, when you count every single individual who was in that country at that time, really supported to the fullest, what was happening. But there weren't enough individuals, or there was a mechanism in place that was so repressive that it caused the persons to cower. Obviously, they had the power of emotion and the power of influence. The fact that you are taking persons to a particular place and burning them is an influential set of action, which causes persons to not want to be in that position, and as a result of that, they steer away. So, I think liberty or freedom is going to either be enhanced or repressed based on the actions or non-actions of other persons, especially those who are on the outside of the repressors or the oppressors. I think maybe that's a useful way to look at it. We have a text here which says, "Your Success Summit sounds exciting, empowering, and uplifting. I will try to make it, God willing, even though in a little pain, bed resting now, listening to your show. So please pray for me by the grace of God." Certainly, our prayers are with you, willing that you feel better. But certainly, since you are able to listen to us while you're in bed, I would say if you need rest, then stay right there and get the rest, and try to tune into the summit via Zoom, or go to YouTube or go to Facebook. And if you're going to register via Zoom, the link is www.nlsolutionsbahamas.com, solutions with a S, solutionsbahamas.com. But certainly hope that you feel better. Certainly hope that you get to the place where you're comfortable, stepping outside of your bed. I can understand when we're feeling pain. Helping 52. Helping 52. What's your point on the purpose of life, 52? You called to talk about that, but after 5 minutes, you haven't said it. And you're now talking about people and talking about you. Ended the call with how does freedom die, but nothing on the purpose of life. That is what people have a problem with. Not your knowledge, but your ability to express a point and conclude that point. Well, I think I now understand it. This individual is saying, "Hey, 52, I am presenting you with this critique with a view of helping you." And he said some things here which, I think I'm going to agree with. I find 52 to be a very knowledgeable person, clearly is broadly read, widely read, and he understands a lot of things, some stuff that I don't understand. He is obviously very passionate about the sciences and, those type of things. The thing which I think trips up 52, if you would take this as, very honest critique, is you are a lot concerned about what some other persons say, and you are very much into proving to those persons that you actually know what you know. I think you should take it as a given that your knowledge is real, and just present yourself. And like the texter said, make the point, give the facts, and draw the conclusion around that. And if you do that, I believe as a public commentator, and I'll call you that because you call into a lot of show and you contribute positively and you contribute effectively. I've heard you shared in many instances where the talk show host just simply had to listen to you because we're not sure whether to say yea or nay. So we just listen. And that right there is your niche where you can bring great value. But it has to be structured. And it has to be not about you and not about what the other people say, but point, conclusion. You left the radio and you leave us hanging on, wanting more to hear from you tomorrow and the next day and the next day. I hope that you find that useful. Not a negative criticism, because I actually love interacting with you and I love hearing you. But that point which the caller pointed out is the one thing which always grates me a little bit. And I believe that if you are open enough and flexible enough to think about that, reflect on that, and make that little shift, you're going to be a much more powerful voice on radio here in the Bahamas. I guarantee it. Let's take a break right here, and when we come back, we will finish up our discussion talking about purpose and talk a little bit more about Success Summit and how you can join us. You listen to The Essentials, The Reset. I am Hubert Edwards, your host. I want you to come right back.
It's so essential, so serious. Time for the essential.
COVID-19 doesn't take holidays off, and neither should you. We can celebrate the holiday season while continuing to follow all public health protocols and regulations. We must also remember to wash our hands and sanitize frequently. Wear our masks, cough and sneeze into our elbows, disinfect items brought into our homes, stay at least 3 feet away from others in public, and remain at home when we're feeling unwell. Let's have a happy and healthy holiday.
This message brought to you by Bahamas Ministry of Health in conjunction with Guardian Radio.
Hubert Edwards Global, in collaboration with Dr. Dave Burrows and iRise, presents the 5th Annual Success Summit under the theme Success Keys to Transform Your World, December 3rd through 4th. 2 days of transformational experiences with dynamic presenters from the Bahamas, Nigeria, Canada, USA, and Jamaica. You can't afford to miss this mind shift moment. 5 scholarship grants, 2 leadership awards, 1 life-changing event. This is a virtual event, so visit www.nlsolutionsbahamas.com for more details. This is what you've been waiting for. Success Summit 2021.
Do you know you can get your business cards designed and printed for as low as 18 cents a card? If it's a poster you want, you can pay as little as $6 a square foot. If your print needs are short or long run, digital printing, wide format, or print consultation, call the best. Call Print Masters. Print Masters' goal is to provide its clients with the highest level of personal, professional service at an affordable price. Our state-of-the-art technology also makes working together efficient and easy. Laminations, business cards, flyers, posters, window and floor decals are just a few of the digitized print services offered at Print Masters. Call 302-2361, 302-2361, or visit us at the Nassau Guardian Building in Oaksfield. Print with the best. Print with Print Masters.
Mommy, guess what I did in school today?
Hold on, sweetie. Mommy's sending a text.
But Mommy, my teacher said that you're not supposed to text and drive.
I know what I'm doing.
Oh, look, Mommy, the Smith twins. Mommy, watch out! In 2017, approximately 54 people died as a result of traffic accidents. A percentage of these fatalities occurred as a result of texting while driving. Just taking your eyes off the road for 5 seconds can increase your chance of crashing. Remember, even the smallest voice counts. Brought to you by UB Radio and Guardian Radio 96.9.
You know it's so essential, so serious. Time for the
And welcome back to the Essentials, the Reset. I'm Hubert Edwards, and we're having a conversation here. We started by taking a look at the reports which are in the newspaper today about the Auditor General. And then we moved on to talk a little bit about purpose, making the link to our summit, which is coming up tomorrow. We will start promptly at 8 o'clock. At 8 o'clock, we will start with music, share some videos, have some positive clips, show some reflections of what we have done over the last couple of years. And on the clock, right at 9 o'clock, we will start the first presentation, and we will move through very speedily till about just after 2 p.m. One of the highlights, or the main highlight on tomorrow, is going to be the presentation to our 5 students. Well, maybe not all 5 of them will be physically there. A couple of students, at least one student I know is out of Grand Bahama, but certainly we look forward to do that, and we want to take this moment to thank our sponsors, because without the sponsors, we wouldn't be able to do this. We wouldn't be able to find the resources to make the scholarship grants, to pay for the trophies, and to pay for the broadcasting from BFM and all of that sort of good stuff. So we certainly want to take some time out to thank our sponsors and to thank the individuals who go above and beyond to help out in this regard. It's not an easy thing to do. It's very difficult sometimes to be trying to ensure that you get 101 different bits and pieces all laid out right, and sometimes it's not necessarily hard work in and of itself, but because it's a lot and it takes long, it's very tedious. So we want to thank Doctors Hospital first and foremost, which emerged as our main sponsor. And I want to say a big thank you to Dr. Diggis. Dr. Diggis was slated to be on the program, but there are some business issues which came up, which really result in him not being able to be there tomorrow. But certainly we're looking forward to future interaction, and would want to have him there next year. So Doctors Hospital, we have the New Providence, Ecology Park, Summit Insurance, Genesis Now. Those are repeat sponsors. They have been with us for a number of years. Want to thank Tim. I want to thank Vincent Ramin, and certainly want to thank the persons over there at the Ecology Park. Also want to thank the persons from Rev. Rev has been with us for a while, Rev Alive, and they're back with us. Island Pay came on last year and is still with us. TLC, the counselors couldn't have done this from year one without you, have always supported us. New persons on the block, Automotive Options, want to thank you so much. And, if there is not enough thanks in the world to say thank you to Guardian Radio, to be honest. Guardian Radio has been a media partner with us from day one and has given us so much, way more than we would have anticipated. But, certainly, a big respect and big thank you goes out to station manager Dwight Strawn and the whole organization. I know that I'm a part of the Guardian family, but even sometimes as a part of your family, you get treated sometimes better than you expected. And this is one of those instances where the treatment is significantly always more. And certainly we want to thank one of our partners who came on this year, Well, they were there before Money Max, and we want to thank Carlos Mackey for his generous contribution. These sponsors, we want to assure you, and we will account. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to put in a slate of trustees where we'll be able to account for every single cent that we collected. The bulk of the money will go straight back to these students. We are given 5 grants. The grants are $1,500 each. 5 grants will give us $7,500 right off the bat, and then we have to buy the plaques and the stuff for the leadership award. So the bulk of the money goes there, and then we have to pay for the services of the technical people at BFM and for the use of the premises and so on and so forth. And so we are really, really very thankful, and we want to say, to our sponsors, thanks for being here. We will certainly look forward to having conversations with you early going forward, and want to ask other persons within corporate Bahamas if you could come on with us, partner with us, because what we're doing, I think we're doing a good thing. We're growing, we're building, but we want to achieve more. And with your help, and it don't have to be big, massive, heavy help, the more persons who can come on with a small financial support or support in kind, we certainly will make it work. We'll take whatsoever we get and we work wonders with it. And so as you outline this, and this is what we're doing, we're saying, we want to have a purpose. We have outlined that. We've outlined this in the vision. So we want to discover it. We internalize it in our soul. We're now aligning our actions to that purpose. And then we are going to be consistently reviewing and monitoring our purpose. And that is where you keep the evolution. You evolve and you transform over time, so you keep growing. Every single year, we must get better. So with a purpose for self, you will grow. But without a purpose outside of self, you won't grow enough. Let me repeat that. With a purpose for self, and I should say self only, you will grow. This growth thing, people, you are going to grow. If you put a plant in a box, it will grow. But at some point in time, it will interact with the top of the box and the growth will be retarded. When you start to box in your purpose to yourself, that's exactly what happens. But when you open it to others, to facilitate others, to serve others, then all of a sudden your growth potential becomes well beyond you. And you grow in ways that you can't even see. You touch people, you impact individuals. You find yourself in front of persons who say, oh, I know you. Oh, I heard you. You did. And all of a sudden, something which may have been challenging becomes that much easier. You walk into a difficult situation and you know that this is going to be difficult. You may be at a huge disadvantage. But the person you walk and the person you meet when you're introduced is someone who you would have impacted positively. And all of a sudden, your obstacles start to fall away bit by bit. That's what I mean by touching someone outside of your purpose. So when it's outside, you grow, and you grow to become a bigger you. Without it, you will grow, but you won't become your best self. You won't approach that self, where we are constantly becoming better and better and better each time. And that's what we're supposed to be here for. In an organization that I'm with, Toastmasters, we have some watchwords: integrity, respect, service, and excellence. And these are great words for living normal life, everyday life. I believe that they pave a path for the road to greatness. If you can live with integrity, if you can live with respect, if you can live with a sense of service and serving others, and if you consistently embrace excellence, then your path to greatness is almost assured. If you think about it this way, you and I, every single time we fail, every single time we have not done well, every single time we look back and say we could have done better, is because our excellence was not at the level where it ought to be. We may cuss and we may quarrel and we may carry on and say the system owed us back and somebody do that. But when we messed up, when we fall short because we didn't go the extra mile, we know it. We know we sell our excellence short. And we know that the result that we have and that we're faced with is as a result of our own doing. Of course, we keep that private. We don't want to tell that to anyone. And that's fine. Keep it private, but admit it. Be honest with self. And if you're honest with self and you work to change it and fix it, you are going to realize growth. I believe that if you chase excellence in all the things that you do, if you're always giving service, if you live respectfully, and if you live with integrity, you may not have all of the riches and the bells and the whistle of the other people, but I guarantee you, you're going to live a very, very fulfilling life. You're going to live a life which feels like freedom. So just step out there. Step out there and start thinking about how am I going to change the world by starting to change myself and starting to change those around me. So what are some of the benefits of pursuing your passion as we come to a close? Benefits of pursuing your passion: simply you live life on a level of freedom. You become free, personal freedom. You develop a sense of increased self-awareness and confidence. You start to grow beyond the capacity or beyond the limitations of your comfort zone. It's important. You take onto yourself a sense of empowerment. That's what happens when you pursue your passion. You realize professional growth, you realize personal growth, social growth, emotional growth. You realize growth in many aspects and dimensions of your life. Fulfillment. When you're passionate, when you're pursuing passion, and when you do something and you hit it, when you hit the bullseye on that, you feel fulfilled. You're filled with good emotions, good hormones flow through your system. And it makes you feel like you want to do more, you want to give more, you want to be more, you want to become more. Chasing your passion with purpose, pursuing your passion creates harmony. You're at a place where you're good. You're at a place where this idea of better balance is possible. So you want to do that, then do that passionately. You really want to be a part of something which is bigger, much bigger than yourself. And so that's how, when you do it with passion, when you pursue this, you get to that place. As this text comes in and says, it was life's purpose, not my purpose. I have a purpose to serve God and good others and form worry, spread and receive knowledge. I did mention Bernard Shaw, okay? That's, So you serving God. And so finally, we hear this term about denting the universe. When you pursue your passion, when you pursue your purpose, you dent the universe. When you are gone, when you're moved on, and hopefully you dent the universe positively, you'll be remembered for having lived a life which was worthy, which was useful, which was of value to those who were around you, those who may come after you, and those who may well learn from you long after you were gone. You've been listening to The Essentials, The Reset. We're going to leave it there tonight, and the next time we pick it up, it will be on the other side of the summit. We want you to check it out, www.nlsolutionsbahamas.com. Register and join us. We always end by saying, never allow your greatness to become a victim of your unwillingness to change. One love, walk good, Ubuntu.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.